Forgive me if I'm more sluggish than usual in this video. I am currently dealing with the common cold. Dun dun dun! The most deadly of all diseases. And also forgive my shitty pronunciation of French and Islamic words. But Charlie Hebdo, or Hebdo, like I said, can't pronounce shit. Anyway, Charlie, I'm gonna go with Doe. Charlie Hebdo is a French satirical newspaper that's released every week, and it's a paper that has been very left-wing, and it's also very critical of religion. On several occasions, they have printed cartoons and editorials targeting Islam. And today, the Islamic faith responded to Charlie Hebdo not in the form of a satire of their own or in verbal or printed condemnation, but with a terroristic attack of violence that has left 12 people dead and 11 people seriously injured. Among the dead, 4 of the Charlie Hebdo cartoonists, including Stéphane Charbonnier, like I said, can't pronounce, better known as Charb, the editor of Charlie Hebdo. He once said of Islam, "I'm not afraid of reprisals. I have no children, no wife, no car, no debt. It might sound a bit pompous, but I prefer to die on my feet rather than living on my knees." He said this, by the way, after the Charlie Hebdo offices were firebombed in 2011 and after someone was arrested for condoning that we behead this man. So he wasn't saying this from a position of total ignorance as to what Islam is capable of. He had actually incurred their wrath before and their violence. Getting back to his quote, he'd rather die on his feet than live on his knees. I have to ask the question, why would anyone have to die for cartoons? Why should anyone live in fear? Not just fear of some trivial consequence, but fear of their lives. And not only fear of their lives, but fear of their coworkers' lives. Why should anyone have to live with that fear because they drew some cartoons or they published some cartoons? This is not the first time we've been through this, by the way. I know most of you remember that back in 2005, a Danish newspaper printed 12 different cartoons that were critical of Islam, that depicted the Prophet Muhammad often in a very unflattering light, in fact, universally in a very unflattering light. And I call him not the Prophet Muhammad, by the way. I call him the scumfuck Muhammad, because I don't believe in prophets, and even if I did, that son of a bitch sure as fuck wasn't one. So the scumfuck Muhammad is what you should really call him. In response to the Danish cartoons back in 2005, there was massive Islamic protests that encircled the globe, resulting in over 200 deaths, and the Danish embassies in Lebanon and Syria were basically destroyed by angry mobs. It's hard to look at a giant mob of Muslims destroying buildings, killing people, and say, well, that's just the radical fringe. It doesn't look like the radical fringe when there's a huge angry mob. And not just one huge angry mob, but huge angry mobs all across the planet, including many countries that are not even Muslim majority. There was angry mobs in Canada. There was angry mobs in London. Over cartoons. Over fucking cartoons. So we can't say it's just the radicals, it's just the extremists, it's just this little tiny itty-bitty insignificant fringe. But that's exactly what the Western media does. Time and time again, we are repeatedly cautioned against painting all Muslims with the same brush, as though we're fucking idiots who don't understand that this isn't all Muslims. Of course we understand that this isn't all Muslims. But we also understand something else. We understand that it's not the insignificant fringe that you would lead us to believe. We know that regressive and sometimes violent ideas are propagated not just in the fringes of Islam, but propagated through the majority of Muslim society. And we've seen that through polls that have been done, that not even the secular defenders of Islam can fully justify. Even Reza Aslan, that scummy piece of shit, had to look at some of these polls from supposedly moderate Muslim countries where the majority of people say apostates should be put to death, for instance. Even he had to look at that and say, well, the Quran and the Hadith, the holy books of Islam, are rife with passages explicitly telling Muslims that they need to kill the non-believers. It's either kill them or convert them. And that's a proactive message throughout the book. I think there's more than 109 instances of that in the Quran alone. Now, thankfully, not all Muslims take this message to heart, but those who don't are really an aberration from their faith. They're not really following the teachings of their holy books, and we should all be thankful that they're not, just as I'm thankful that Christians in America don't take the Bible literally. Even the ones who say they do, they obviously don't, because if they did, they would be doing all kinds of wacky shit that just isn't happening. All you need to do to see the link between radical Islam and terrorist attacks and jihad and Al-Qaeda and ISIS, all you need to do to see the link between them and the holy books of Islam is read the holy books of Islam. They're the ones who are following the real teachings of that book, which does encourage Islam to go forth and conquer the world. The West needs to stop allowing itself to persist in the fantasy that what we're dealing with here is a few bad apples. I'm sorry, it'd be very nice if that were true, but it's just not. The entire tree is rotten, and it needs to be cut down. How do we chop it down? Well, some will say that violence is the answer. There's a lot of idiots that have taken to Twitter with the hashtag #KillAllMuslims. And then there's people who call for wars against Islamic states, and there's rednecks sitting in couches across America talking about how we need to nuke the damn Middle East or something like that. And that's just bravado, and that's just bluster. To fight violence with violence has typically not been effective. It's not delivered great results, and it's impractical for our entire world to be in conflict. When there's 1.7 billion Muslims, it's not practical for us to say, well, let's just pick a fight with them. Censorship of Muslims is also not palatable to me. That's not a good solution. To attempt to remove ideas we don't like from society by force, that's exactly the sort of behavior that we're trying to fight against here. So engaging in it ourselves is not going to have optimal results. All it is a slippery slope that leads to the very fate that we're trying so desperately to avoid, which is censorship of ideas and an inability to criticize things that you don't like. What should happen instead, I think, is international humiliation of the Islamic faith in the form of the weapon that they fear most of all, which is mockery, which is satire. If they so hate these cartoons that mock their prophet that they're willing to kill, then I think that we should make more cartoons that mock their prophet. Anyone with artistic ability watching this video, I think that you should spend at least some of your talent and your time mocking Islam. If you happen upon a Quran that is in your possession somehow, then I think you should desecrate it, and I think you should make public your desecration. If they so despise satire against themselves, then let us focus our attention on creating satire against them. Let us show them that the entire world views their primitive, superstitious faith with bemused contempt. They can't kill us all. They really can't. They can try, but they can't kill us all. And even if they can, we will echo the words of Charb, "I'd prefer to die on my feet rather than live on my knees." This is not Draw Muhammad Day. This is let's just draw Muhammad forever and make these fucking crybabies shit themselves. If you want to turn this day from a tragedy into a triumph, then let this become the day that Islam awoke a sleeping giant, and not a giant of violence, not a giant of censorship, but a giant of satire and mockery, which is the one thing that they fear above all else, and they've proven it time and time again by committing attacks like this. To the scumfuck Muhammad and those who kill in his name or support those who kill in his name, piss be upon you. And to everyone else, I'm the Amazing Atheist. Peace the fuck out.